Hi, I'm Mario Ariave with Utmost Performance Coaching. Today, what we're going to talk about is a topic that really isn't discussed much, but I feel is super important. We're going to talk about rest periods. So, we're going to talk about when you have an interval workout, you have certain intervals that are prescribed, but then in between those intervals, oftentimes you're going to find that you have a rest period. Now, for coaching purposes, when a coach goes in and, for example, myself, and I go in and I program and put a workout into Training Peaks, the platform that most of us are using, you have to build the workout. So you have to literally go in and say, okay, you're going to do this for this amount of time, and then you're going to do this for this amount of time. And the metric that you assign could differ. It could be heart rate, it could be power, it could even be RPE. But the fact remains that you have to build this, and then you have to give the athlete certain direction in terms of this is what I want you to do and how long I want you to do it for, and then I want you to move on to this, and then I want you to move on to this, move on to this. Now, when building an interval session, obviously you build in the intervals themselves, and then you build in the rest periods. And you have to assign metrics to both of those things. But let's hit the pause button for a second here and let's think about what is the purpose of an interval session? What is important in, I'll say 90% of interval sessions, because there are some interval sessions where this does not hold true. But for 90% of interval sessions, the improvement, the growth, the gains come in the intervals themselves. Sometimes they're called work bouts. Those work bouts, when you're actually riding at probably a higher intensity, that's where the improvement comes. That's where fitness gains comes. That's where you get stronger. That's where you get better adapt and physiological adaptations happen for you to be able to race and achieve your goals. And so what is the purpose of the rest periods? The purpose of the rest periods are to allow you to prepare for the next interval or work bout. That's what they are. So just for example, just taking a very simple, the traditional threshold workout, the 2x20 minute. So you do 2x20 minutes at threshold, and so you do a 20-minute threshold interval, and then maybe you've got 3 minutes of rest in between, and then you go to another 20-minute threshold interval. Now, if you're given that workout, you have to understand what is your coach wanting from you there. They're wanting these 20-minute interval sessions, these 20-minute intervals to be done at a threshold heart rate or a threshold power. Now, why is that 3-minute rest period in between there though? Well, it's there because if not, think about this logically, if not, then I'd say, hey, go do 1x40 minute at threshold. And you'd say, well, wait a minute, but okay, now I get it. Like 1x40 is more difficult than like a 2x20. I'm not saying maybe you won't get to that place, but for right now, we need that 3-minute rest interval coming off the 20 to be able to get you ready to do the next 20. Okay, so what do I do during that 20-minute interval? Well, let me see. My coach, Mario, he's gone in here. He's got a rest period prescribed for me. He wants me to be at this, range of heart rate, or he wants me to be in this range of power. Maybe, not necessarily. And this is where I really want to kind of camp out for this video. It's, for me personally, if I'm coaching you, and you come back and, you didn't hold to the metric on the rest period, but you hit all the intervals. You did a 5x5 minute VO2 max, and you had 5 minutes rest in between each, 3 minutes rest in between each or whatever. And you said, hey, Mario, like I went lower than the prescribed, power for the rest periods, but I hit all the 5 minutes. I'm saying, awesome, good job. That's excellent. What I'm looking at the VO2 max intervals. I'm not looking at the rest periods. I don't really care what you do during the rest periods. I want to know, did you hit the 5-minute VO2 max intervals? Because guess what? When we get into a racing scenario, the VO2 max, that 5-minute, that's going to be what's going to make you successful in that race. It's not whether you can hold this for a rest period. So I want to make sure that we're clear here. When you're interpreting, what your coach has assigned to you in terms of your workout, you have to understand, you have to put something in there. The workout has to be built. So it asks you, all right, well, what do you want to do for these 3 minutes, for example, in between these two 20-minute threshold blocks? What do you want the athlete to do there? And then I say, well, okay, I'm going to plug in, this percentage of, threshold heart rate, or this percentage of threshold power. But you as an athlete, you have the liberty to interpret that and to take it as you wish. The intervals are the ones that are king. The intervals are the ones that matter. So hopefully this is helpful for you as you go about doing interval sessions. Just think about it that way. Prepare yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally for that next interval that is going to be given to you, for the next set of intervals that's going to be given to you. That's another thing. Sometimes you have sets. Sometimes maybe you've got like 3 by 3 minutes over here, and then you've got like a longer break, and then you've got another 3 by 3 minute set of something or other, VO2 max, let's say, or something like that. Well, that in between, if it's a rest period, then wrap your head around how hard or easy do I need to ride in order to be able to hit that next set of 3 by 3s, and do that. And this is where a good coach-athlete relationship, and I know that I've said this before, but this is where it's really worth its weight in gold, or worth the price that athlete is paying for the coaching, is, hey, you know what? There needs to be communication there. And there needs to be a certain, freedom given to the athlete to be able to make these kinds of changes. And then as a coach, being able to understand, hey, why did you make those changes? Why did you make that decision? Oh, okay, that's great. And just keeping that dialogue going, right? It's not a totalitarian, authoritarian type of relationship where the coach says this, and so I absolutely do this, right? With rest periods, there needs to be some artistic liberty there that's taken by the athlete. But that can't be the case if, number one, you don't feel the freedom to be able to do that. But number two, if you don't understand yourself well. So I'll end with that. Understanding your body, understanding where your mindset is on that day, understanding what you've brought into that training session in terms of external stressors maybe and things of that nature, like understanding all of that and then interpreting all of that and looking at it and saying, okay, based on what I'm feeling, self-awareness, mindfulness, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to make this decision on these rest periods because I know that if I do that, it's going to give me the best chance of hitting the intervals, which is what we're here to do on this particular day with this particular session. So there you have it, folks. Rest periods. They're not talked about a lot, but man, they really are important. I've seen way too many athletes try to hold a certain power or heart rate during a rest period only to fall short of hitting the intervals. And then we have to come back and say, whoa, wait a minute. We kind of lost the forest for the trees a little bit here. What we wanted were those intervals. On the rest periods, it was okay to come down from that a little bit if you needed to. Okay, folks, I hope that you guys are enjoying this content. If you are, please, if you have not done so already, subscribe to the channel, share the channel with somebody. If you are interested in getting some more guidance and getting a little bit more structure in your training plan, and having somebody oversee that, the accountability piece of coaching is really, really vital and really what helps a lot of athletes achieve their goals, then please reach out and let's put something together. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time.